If you didn't watch the Gronks on ESPN on Saturday night, you missed Dana White dropping a bombshell about Tom Brady. You know, the NFL had the chance to do the right thing. I believe that the NFL was going to be on the right side of history for the first time ever. Unfortunately, the NFL did what the NFL does. The impact that they've had on Toronto FC, it's undeniable. I understand that you have to defend your quarterback. I understand that you just can't come out and, say, well, we don't want this Sean anyways. I understand. I get it. I have to do this because I have to appreciate it. Yes, and we're back. What's going on, everybody? And welcome to Ray's Sports Rant. You can find Ray's Sports Rant right now on Spotify, and hopefully in the next week or so will be available across basically all of the podcast platforms. It's a brand new podcast. We're just waiting for approvals, but you can also find it at rayroute.com. That's RAYRAUTH.com. And you can find my shorts at Ray's Sports Rant's YouTube page. And you can also find stuff over at deanblundell.com. So go check it all out. Thank you for tuning in to Ray's Sports Rant podcast, and we're going to be talking about Dana White here. So I'm not sure if anybody saw this video. You can find it up on ESPN right now. We also saw it over on Twitter, a bunch of places. But last night, UFC, ESPN's doing this thing with the Gronkowskis, very similar to what they do with the Manning brothers on Monday Night Football, where they're doing like this live viewing of the UFC event, and they had Dana White on as a guest. And so Gronk sort of blindsides him, and we saw this in Dana White, a press conference, Dana White after the UFC, but I don't have a clip of that here, but I do have a clip of this coming up. And I'm going to tell you what, Gronk asked him a question, and Dana dropped a fucking bombshell about Tom Brady. Here it is.
Tom was a free agent about 2-3 years ago before he went to Tampa. You gave him a recruiting pitch on why he should join the Vegas Raiders. What went wrong with that recruiting pitch that you gave him?
Do I really tell this story right now, Gronk? Do you want me to tell this story?
Yes.
You can give a brief story. You don't got to go too much in details because you never know. I could have been in Vegas with you for the last 3 years, man. What the heck?
No,
It's still there. You would have signed it then.
You would have been. So
I would have been.
I'm the one. I worked to put that deal together for Brady and Gronk to come to the Raiders, and it was almost a done deal. And at the last minute, Gruden blew the deal up and said that he didn't want him. And all hell broke loose, man. It was crazy. And Brady was already looking at houses, and it wasn't being said yet that Gronk was coming. So Las Vegas would have had Brady and Gronk the year that the Bucs won the Super Bowl, except Gruden blew the deal up. And there's so much story that goes along with this behind the scenes. And I was never going to tell that story till Gronk just said it, but yeah.
Well, you know what? I mean, so that was just a bombshell. I wasn't expecting it. When I saw the clip that Dana White talked about trying to recruit Tom Brady, I clicked on it. I really wanted to see what this whole Gronks thing was because I wasn't paying attention. I had things to do last night. I was covering TFC, so I was like, oh, wow. But I heard that story and just my mind was blown. I mean, first of all, John Gruden, again, his name comes up. It's been a rough year for Johnny, and if there was Raider fans who believed that Tom Brady would have been the big difference, crazy. But let's look at the reaction here from some of the people who have commented in on this. I got 4 here. So this one comes from Trav Bryant. Looks like he's a Patriot fan. Says that's the 2001 Tuck rule. Gruden still can't look at Tom. We got another comment that says, we never needed Brady or Gronk on our team. DC is my quarterback, and Waller is a baller. Nuff said. Oops, the NFL didn't want that information out. And Gruden was the worst. Keep in mind that he had 3 first-round picks as well. Idiot could have had a Super Bowl. And I did, the whole Waller thing, and I've seen a few comments floating around saying, well, Gronk wasn't going to start over Darren Waller, but I don't think he was there to start over Darren Waller. I think he would have been there as a complimentary piece. I think that Gronk was a complimentary piece in Tampa Bay. But, it is what it is. But as we do, we like to turn to our friends in the media, and this came from Joey Knight of the Tampa Times. It's just an excerpt. And this excerpt confirms what Rob Gronkowski said. I cut this part of the clip out just so I could go to the article. But it confirms that Gronk confirmed this story. It goes, Gronkowski's response, quote, and Dana, that is exactly what happened, and you just told the story. It worked out for the best, and I'm glad it didn't go through, Gronkowski added. It all worked out for the best, man. I'm glad we went to Tampa, man. I love that place. Brady signed with the Bucs in March of 2020, about a month before the team acquired Gronkowski, who emerged from a one-year retirement via trade with New England. Gronkowski caught 2 of Brady's 3 touchdown passes in Super Bowl 55, a 31-9 romp of the Chiefs. White's proclamation also seems to suggest that the Raiders and veteran quarterback Derek Carr were the object of a viral Brady slur 2 summers ago on HBO's The Shop, uninterrupted, when he mentioned a team not interested in him during free agency. And I think for me, that's where the revelation came in, because we all wondered who was the quarterback that they were talking about. Who was the quarterback that Tom Brady called that motherfucker? And it looks like it's Derek Carr. Now, rumors came out a little while ago that it was Ryan Fitzpatrick, but no, if you guys aren't sure what I was talking about, here's the clip here.
There was a story in free agency. One of the teams, they were interested, and all of a sudden they weren't interested at the very end. I was sitting there thinking, you're sticking with that motherfucker? Are you serious?
Tom probably had no desire to go to that team, but now it's like, why don't you want me?
Absolutely. Absolutely. When I look back, I'm like, there's no fucking way I would have went to that team. But they said they didn't want me, and I know what that means. I know what that feels like, and I'm going to fuck you up because of that.
So I'm going to believe that Brady was talking about the Raiders and that he was talking about Derek Carr. And let's pretend for a second everybody is telling the truth. Brady at the end, I got a little coy thinking back in my head. I was like, I'll never go to that fucking team. But it sounds like he was. Sounds like he was looking at houses. Tom Brady would have been a legend in Vegas. And he knows he would have been a legend in Vegas. I mean, it's why he would have even considered going there in the first place. But, you know, it is what it is on that standpoint. But I do want to look at this comment here, because it's now time for another edition of Ray's Useless Rant here on the Ray's Sports Rant podcast. Too many rants. But it comes from this guy, Rodrigo, who says that, quote, TB has been mistreated by the Patriots. Now he's mistreated by bad luck. Tampa plagued by injuries and without an offensive line. His physical integrity is in serious danger. Now retirement is a good idea. Here's my rant. Tom Brady has been royalty of the NFL for over 20 years. It is time to stop acting like he's had a rough go at it. The narrative that Tom Brady has been mistreated either by the NFL, the New England Patriots, or anybody else that's associated with Brady since joining the league is a lazy, lame argument. Let's start with the obvious. Almost nobody in the NFL was looking at Tom Brady when he was coming out of Michigan. Nobody. If Bill Belichick didn't draft Tom Brady with the 199th overall draft pick in the 2000 draft, Tom Brady probably never starts a single game in the NFL. Now, granted, Tom Brady took advantage of the opportunity given to him, and he deserves to be seen as the greatest of all time. However, I'm not going to mince words here. Tom Brady owes his career to Bill Belichick, Robert Kraft, and the New England Patriots. I absolutely hate when people talk about the discounts that Brady gave to the Patriots and all the money that he left on the table. Tom Brady earns $230 million as a Patriot. We need to stop. We need to stop acting like Brady and his family are starving. Brady took less money because he wanted to win championships. However, he could have taken a lot less than he did if that's all he really cared about. So let's not pretend that Brady has only done this for the love of football. Let's also not forget about all the mentions and rumors of backdoor deals he had with Robert Kraft. Let's also not forget, like, the TB12 center treated half the New England Patriots team. 7 Super Bowl championships later, let's just stop this ridiculous narrative that Tom Brady is a victim. There have been players in the National Football League who have been mistreated. Tom Brady isn't one of them. And that was Ray's useless rant. Let's look at a couple more reactions to this whole Tom Brady story. This one comes from Mitch, who says, Gruden's ego got in the way once again. Glad he's gone from football forever. King Solomon says, well, Rob Gronkowski wouldn't even have started over Darren Waller. John Gruden just signed a 10-year deal. Why would he want a 44-year-old quarterback? Another commenter says, well, we know who Brady was talking about when he said they'd rather have that motherfucker. It was Derek Carr. John Gruden ruined the Raiders, got rid of Khalil Mack. John Gruden wanted his fingerprints all over the Raiders. Only reason he kept Derek Carr was because he gave the green light for the Raiders to draft Derek Carr when he advised them. His fingerprint. And lastly, easy to say it now, 2 years gone. Where the fuck were you in 2020? This is all a bunch of lies, and this guy is a piece of shit. It's amazing that we live in a world now where everybody who says anything is a liar. Basically, if you weren't there and you didn't see it, you're not going to believe it. That's the world that we live in. It's kind of sad. I believe Dana. I don't see why Dana would lie. I don't know. This is a wild, wild story. One that ESPN and all the big boys are probably going to run with for a long, 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 long time. One that I may come back and talk about again too, but I love this one. This one got my juices running when I seen it, and I was so excited to present it here on Ray's Sports Rant. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure you tune in to our next episode, which is already in the can, which is Bayern Munich continue their Bundesliga dominance, thrashing Bochum 7-0. And I got some stuff to say about the quote-unquote Farmers League. Until next time, guys, never forget, you're all legit, kid.